This week on Inside Boulder News, Council approves minimum metrics to guide exploration of municipalization, illegally dumped koi fish are removed from Thunderbird Lake, and Boulder Senior Services offer tips to de-stress this holiday season.
Welcome to Inside Boulder, featuring topics and stories that impact the community of Boulder, with Patrick von Kaiserling and Jennifer Bray. And on the news desk, Natalie Wood and Mike Benuelos bring you the stories making headlines in the community this week. Inside Boulder News starts now.
Welcome to Inside Boulder News. I'm Natalie Wood. Last week, City Council approved metrics that establish baseline standards the city will have to meet before it can decide whether to create a municipal electric utility. The metrics further define conditions that voters approved in the charter. These include a guarantee that rates will not exceed those charged by Xcel Energy when the city takes over the utilities system, the creation of a plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and other criteria. Inside Boulder News spoke with Heather Bailey, who is overseeing the city's analysis about the significance of the newly adopted metrics.
The charter that was passed by the voters specified some specific criteria that had to be met in order to municipalize. And in trying to model that and provide more clarity in what that looks like, we felt like we needed to translate that language into metrics or something you can quantify and measure. And that way we would have a baseline from which to start our evaluation. However, in the evaluations that we're doing prior to moving forward, there will be a lot of different things that will be looked at, much deeper and much broader than what the metrics prescribe. The metrics were basically to determine, can we municipalize based on the charter. What we're looking at and hopefully will present in the future to the council the first quarter of 2013 is an evaluation that says, should we municipalize? Where is the value add? What more can be done by being a municipal utility versus not? And so what are the options there?
City officials plan to present possible recommendations to the public at the end of January before holding a series of city council meetings on the options in early 2013. Council also approved the extension of the city's neighborhood parking permit program at last week's meeting. The program allows commuters to obtain permits for certain residential areas at higher rates than residents. The neighborhood parking permit program was initially created with a 5-year expiration and has repeatedly been extended. City officials will conduct a study of the city's various parking programs over the next year that could result in some changes to the program. In 2010, Smart Regs ordinances were adopted by City Council requiring rental housing in Boulder to meet a standard in energy efficiency. Boulder's EnergySmart program helps rental owners become Smart Regs compliant through matching them with energy advisors and offering rebates on energy-efficient upgrades. Smart Regs even helped one happy customer make his 100-year-old apartment building sustainable. Take a look.
My client Greg started out registering for EnergySmart, enrolling in the program, and as a Smart Regs client, he is required to pass the Smart Regs ordinance as a rental property owner.
I worked with James at Populous. He was my go-to man for everything at no charge to the property owner, so that's a wonderful situation. But literally everything from having discussions with Xcel to the solar company to coordinating estimates. All of the legwork was done by James and his team. So very, very advantageous. I mean, it's the best service you can get and you don't pay for it.
We discussed all the possible ways to increase his points and his ability to pass the ordinance, and it came about that solar PV would be one of the best options to have him pass the ordinance. So we set out back in April to get him compliant.
We did the solar. The solar was very economical. Then in addition to that, we put in blown-in insulation in the stud bays of the older portion because it had an open attic ceiling where there's no other way of getting additional insulation in there. And then in addition to that, there was air sealing and weatherization that was done via Populous's recommendation throughout the entire unit.
It's the first property like this in Boulder. It's a 100-year-old 7-unit rental property, and he's kind of a leader. He's a torch carrier here in the market for the Smart Regs ordinance for multifamily rental owners.
Visit EnergySmartYes.com to sign up for assistance and get your very own SmartRegs Energy Advisor. Colorado Parks and Wildlife staff removed about 1,800 koi fish from Thunderbird Lake on Monday. Several koi were illegally released into the lake during the past year, and the population was naturally reproducing. The koi needed to be removed because they negatively impact wild fish.
These fish are actually non-native, and as fish that probably came from a pet store or a domestic source, they could be very detrimental to the fishery. When you introduce exotic species or pets into a native habitat like this, you're actually running into problems because you can have disease introduced that wasn't here before. These introduced fish can outcompete the native fish or the stocked fish, and it can really do a lot of damage to a fishery.
We've been monitoring the water quality for the past several years, and we have been coming out photographing the site, taking pictures, monitoring geese, vegetation, and so forth. And so it was through that process that we found the koi in the lake.
We're going to take a boat out onto the water, and we're going to do electroshocking and seining. Electroshocking is actually using an electric wand that stuns the fish. They'll come to the surface and we can scoop them out with a net. Seining is actually a netting system that has little jagged hooks on it that will get the fish attached to them, and we'll pull them off there and put them into water. I think it's very critical that people understand exotic species, invasive species are a huge detriment to fisheries and to wildlife in Colorado. So when you have a pet you don't want anymore, please contact the Humane Society or the pet shop from where you got it and find out what is a correct way, a humane way of disposing of that pet. We know everyone in Boulder cares about wildlife and cares about our environment, so do the right thing and be protective of your wildlife resource.
The koi will be used at a local bird rehabilitation facility to feed osprey and great blue herons that are recovering from injuries. The holidays can be a stressful time, especially for seniors and caregivers. Boulder Senior Services offer plenty of programs to help seniors and their families take on the season.
We have 2 multi-purpose senior centers, and we offer classes and trips for social engagement. And we also have wellness activities, which include massage and reflexology, and those are really excellent for stress reduction. And sometimes people don't incorporate that into their life regularly, so it's kind of a treat during the holiday season. And it's also a good gift to give to someone who you know who's overwhelmed, who could use the break. And then we have regular fitness classes, we have modified exercise classes, and then the Senior Resources Program have consultation and referral about all the resources that are available to seniors and to their family members, whether they're local or long distance. And that includes some respite programs so that caregivers can get a break. We also partner with a number of agencies in the community, and so hospice organizations offer holiday grief and loss support groups and one-time events throughout the city. So that's really a nice support for people as well.
Visit BoulderSeniorServices.com to learn more about the programs. Thanks for watching Inside Boulder News. Stay in touch with us on Facebook by submitting news tips and questions. Just search for City of Boulder Channel 8. More Inside Boulder is next.